discussed last time.
Yeah, we remember like we have to break this cycle of people.
Oh yes, correct. So everything has a purpose, correct. So the objective, the main theme of the discussion was that the reason why we have got this human body, we should pursue that and not just the material aspect of the body, the sense gratification. Otherwise, there is no difference between an animal and a human being. And who can guide us what to do and what not to do?
Krishna.
And how?
With Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Well, why Bhagavad Gita? Why Krishna? Why not Amitabh Bachchan through his movies? Why not Akshay Kumar with Oh My God movie? Huh? But they give philosophy, right? So many people define their views about religion and Shastra through movies like Oh My God of Akshay Kumar. What's wrong with that?
For entertainment purposes.
Okay.
They're not
How do
actually
you
for-
differentiate? Let's say if I make a statement. Okay. There is a theory called as YOLO, Y-O-L-O.
You only live once.
Yes. In the great Western Gen Z kind of people, so-called intelligent people, they have come up with this theory that you only live once. So God has given you this body, just enjoy. That is the objective. So what's wrong in that?
There are some downsides, downfalls in life as well.
Which will happen even when you are following the life taught by Bhagavad Gita.
But maybe because everyone's reborn.
But you only live once, right? As per that theory.
You live only once in this body.
In,
Like in this life.
body.
in this body.
Yeah,
Very
this
good.
body.
Very good.
But then you have to go to the next body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when you accumulate good karma, you
Yeah.
get a better
Good
life.
results and then
Yeah,
go to
so
the
maybe
next
we mean
planet.
like you only live once in this.
So that means that philosophy of you only live once is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's correct.
You won't come
It's
back
not
to the same
correct.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's correct.
It's not correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So we took an example last time that when you buy a refrigerator or a TV or a mobile or some device, it comes along with a manual. That manual tells you what is that device meant for, how to operate it, how not to operate. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is the manual for our human body, our life. So there are people who say Bhagavad Gita and other stuff like this should be done after you retire from your service. Is that a correct statement?
No. You
Why
should
not?
do it your whole life.
Can you come?
Why?
So then you can go to Krishna's planet quicker.
Quicker, okay. But if I start at the age of 60, and let's say if I am going to die at 70, I can practice it for 10 years. What's the problem?
That you're not doing it your entire life.
So what? I will do it for 10 years. What's the
He
problem?
will completely devote himself for 10
Yeah.
years.
Lord
Instead
Ram
of like
said,
doing half of his things.
Lord
for his
Ram
entire
said
life.
that if somebody remembers me even for a moment, but very sincerely, he can come to me. So I'm getting 10 years to remember after my age of 60, after my retirement, till I die, probably at 70. What's the problem? What do you think?
I think the age when we can really help someone, but after 60 you become much more restrictive and stuff. So if you go earlier, the better, the more you can help others.
The objective is not to discuss about how to help others. Objective is first to think about your own self. Can you elevate your spiritual life? Yeah, from this perspective, what is the problem if I start at 60? If before I die at 70.
So it is like that device which you want to operate it the way you want. You start it, like if you know how to operate it, you start it from the beginning. But at the age of 60, you don't know how much time you have, and that time you're learning how you want to use your body, in what context you want to use it, where you should invest your time. If you come to know at late, so then of course you have some time for sure. But then
Actually, the bigger point is this question assumes that you know you will live up till 60. Exactly. We do not know when we will get called from this world. Yeah. So, firstly, we do not know whether we will live up till 60. Even if we do not know whether we will live up till 70 or 61 or 60.5. Let's assume we will live up till 70. In those 10 years, we will not be able to do what Bhagavad Gita expects us to do because we have practiced the complete opposite for the first 60 years. Our mind, our brain, our intelligence, our habits, our thoughts, everything of us has been conditioned in such a manner that we will not be able to leave all that and practice complete instructions of Bhagavad Gita for the remaining 10 years. So to assume that that's possible, it's like lots of ifs and buts are there, and the probability is. So we have to start from the very beginning. In one of the verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad, you all know Prahlad, right? So
Yeah.
Prahlad, we call him Prahlad Maharaj because he was one of the Mahajans, the 12 Mahajans who had understood the complete philosophy perfectly. So Prahlad Maharaj mentioned that the right age for somebody to start this learning is Kaumaram Acharit Prajna. Kaumaram meaning the Kumar age, which starts at the age of 5. Acharit meaning you start the activity, you put that into practice, and what? Prajna meaning the Prajna, the knowledge of this spiritual knowledge. You should start at the age of 5. At the age of 5, at least now we give mobiles and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook to our children. So that is, but actually the Vedic Sanskriti, Vedic religion even goes from the time of even before the soul comes into the womb of the mother. So there is something, there are 16 samskaras in the life of a living being. The first samskar which starts at even before the union between the couple, it is called as Garbhadhana samskar. So we invite pious souls into the body of the mother so that the generation and the whole ancestry and the descendancy can have good progeny. So that is the right age to start. So when nice, good pious souls are invited into, and the mother and the father and the whole family are properly practicing the right instructions of Bhagavad Gita, the samskars happen on the children also, and they imbibe the good, right living, and because of which imbibing and implementing instructions of Bhagavad Gita becomes simple. So that's the right age. Today what we will do is, we will just take kind of a summary level understanding of Mahabharata. To be able to understand Bhagavad Gita, it is quite important to understand the background of Bhagavad Gita, which is Mahabharata. Now, there are quite a few times when people ask questions, if Krishna is God, why did he not stop the war? Why did he let lakhs or millions of people die? Okay. If he could not stop, then that means he is not God. Because nothing is impossible for the Lord, right? So it means because he could not stop, that means he is not God. And if he is God, why did he not stop? Sort of. Okay, we will get to the answers of these questions over the course of Bhagavad Gita. But these are the questions that come up. And these come up because there are words which Krishna has mentioned to Arjuna to fight you have to fight. Okay, so yuddha cha, Krishna says. So when somebody without the understanding of Mahabharata, when he says fight, where does the question of fighting comes out? So automatically the background becomes important, right? So we'll take very summary level discussion, and it's the events that I'll talk about may not necessarily be in the chronological order. And we'll start off with the after the end of Mahabharata, what happened. We will see that, and then we'll go and touch Mahabharata. Okay? So, do you all know who wrote Mahabharata?
Ganpat Bappa.
Yes, correct. And who told him to write?
Vyasa Dev.
Yes, correct. And everybody knows that? Yes. And who told Vyasa to write?
Krishna.
No. Anybody? So,
Brahma.
I don't know.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Mahabharata was purposely created by Krishna. Okay. You will not understand this why immediately, but we will discuss about it. So, Mahabharata was purposely created by Krishna. It was kind of enacted because Kali Yuga was about to start. Now you'll ask a question why. Okay, so we'll discuss. So when Kali Yuga is about, there are 4 yugas. Okay? So Satya Yuga, it is the next one. Okay.
Treta Yuga.
Correct. Ideally it is Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga. But in this particular millennium, the Treta Yuga has come before Dwapar Yuga. Okay. And this is the 28th millennium. Okay. When it happens. So if you know in the Arti of Vitthal, Yuge Atthavisa Viteva Yuga, why that Atthavis has come? It has come from Shastra. So in the 28th millennium, specifically, Treta Yuga comes before Dwapar Yuga. That is when Ram appeared. Okay. And in Dwapar Yuga, Krishna appeared. So in this particular millennium, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga in this order. And Dwapar Yuga was about to end and Kali Yuga was about to start. The life of, or the duration of life of a person in Kali Yuga and the characteristics and qualities of a person in Kali Yuga are very poor. We have very less memory, we are very quarrelsome, we are hypocrites, and we are very materialistic. For such people, understanding philosophy, theory becomes difficult. Right? If I just tell you Tam Vidya Dukkha Samyogam Yogam Yoga Samyitam, 6.23, a single line verse, okay, which means basically that by the disconnection with yoga, you connect with Krishna. Okay, now it will become very difficult for us to understand. So we require elaboration of theory and philosophy. That also becomes difficult for someone to understand. So we require examples. And that also sometimes becomes difficult for understanding. So we require something like a drama. Okay. So when Mahabharata is displayed in the form of a TV serial, people understand and remember it simply. But if Mahabharata is spoken in terms of a book, it becomes difficult. When Mahabharata is spoken in terms of principles of life, it becomes even more difficult to understand. So looking at the qualities and characteristics and the duration of life of a person in Kali Yuga, Mahabharata was enacted to teach us how to lead the life and how not to lead the life. There are quite a few events that happened before Krishna appeared. Majority of these events are written down in Garga Samhita and Mahabharata itself and Bhagavatam. We will take very few and at a summary level I will talk about the incidents. Otherwise Mahabharata cannot be talked about even in 2-3 hours also. So when Kali Yuga had kind of started, Krishna had already departed. that time Brahma gave instructions to Vyasa Maharshi stating that Kali Yuga has started because of the knowledge level and the memory of people is poor. You need to put all the literature, the scriptures in written form. Otherwise, you may have heard this word Shruti, Shruti and Smruti. So every verse, every of the millions of verses of Vedas and Mahabharata is minimum 100,000 verses ka pura poetry. Okay, all of this was memorized and available in the oral form to general people also at that time. But because the memory would degrade, people will forget this, but it should be available to people. That's why Brahma gave this instruction to Vyasa Dev to compile it in written form. Now Vyasa Dev has been even before at the start of Dwapar Yuga he was there. So, okay, not at the start but a little later. Now Vyasa Dev told Brahma that I have already become physically very old, practically not possible for me to write down everything. At that time he says, you need to give somebody this task of writing down, I can dictate. Then he said, you speak to Ganpati and Ganpati will help you. So then he approaches Ganpati and Ganpati comes there and he agrees to put it in the written form. There was an exchange of dialogues and few further events that happened which I will not talk about now. But Ganpati and Vyasa Rishi, they sit down and the oral dictation by Vyasa Dev and the written version by Ganpati, they start taking shape at that time. Now, many years back, many generations back, one day Prithvi Mata was very much disturbed by the quality and impiety of the kings who were ruling the earth. And because they were sinful people, Prithvi Mata was very much burdened by their sins. So she reached out to Brahma stating that, please help me and please get rid of this burden. So Brahma said, for me, this is not possible, it is beyond my capability now. We need to approach Vishnu. So they reach out to the Kshir Sagar. You might have heard this. So Kshir Sagar is where, which is called as milk ocean, and Vishnu, there are three forms of Vishnu. The Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, he lies on the milk ocean. So they recite this prayer called as Purusha Sukta. Okay. And Vishnu spoke without appearing himself, he spoke and Brahma could hear it. At that time then Brahma told that this is the time for not Vishnu to appear, it is the time for Krishna himself to appear. So there is a distinction between Vishnu and Krishna. Many people think that Krishna is the form of Vishnu and avatar of Vishnu. Okay. Technically, it is incorrect statement. Okay. We will go into the details. Don't worry about it. Some of these pointers may seem to be different than what you have heard so far, but we will go into the verses of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita and various Puranas which talk about the technical differences. Yeah? Hold on.
I also have a lot of doubts.
So then Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, Brahma seems to be a bit confused there. So Kshirodakshayi Vishnu says, okay, let me take all of you to Krishna. They reach to this planet called as Goloka Vrindavan. You may not have heard of this one, but this is the topmost planet of all the Vaikuntha planets. Okay. This whole description of their journey from Kshirosagar to Goloka Vrindavan is described in Garga Samhita. The dialogue between Prithvi Mata, Brahma, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu also is described in Garga Samhita. Garga Samhita is a book where Garga Muni was seated with Narad Muni when Narad Muni was describing about Krishna's pastimes to one king called as Prachina Barhi. And all of this, so the whole account was then compiled into Garga Samhita by Garga Muni. Who is Garga Muni? Any idea? No? So when Krishna and Balram come to Gokul, okay, they are afraid, Nanda Maharaj is afraid that Kamsa will come to him. So Garga Muni, who is the priest of Yadu dynasty, he silently calls him, and then Garga Muni gives names to Krishna and Balaram. Okay, there are few other activities also here. So Garga Samhita is wrote down by Garga Muni. Then all of them reach to Goloka Vrindavan. There are certain events that happen even before they reach to Krishna. We'll skip that now. When they reach to Krishna, then that time Narad Muni tells Krishna that so and so reason, because of so many impious kings, we want you to come down and get rid of the kings. So Krishna does not say anything, he just smiles. Narad Muni is confused. And Narad Muni asks him, will you come or will you not come? So then there is a lot of sound that happens on one of the sides, and the various avatars that have happened until then, one by one, each of them they start coming and entering into the body of Krishna. Matsya avatar, Varaha avatar, Kurma avatar, Narsimha avatar, Ram avatar, Parshuram, right? All of this they start coming and entering into the body of Krishna, and everybody is confused. Ye kya ho raha hai? Never seen, never heard kind of stuff. And then they realize the Purna Purushottam Bhagwan, what is the meaning of that? Then Krishna promises, yes, I will come at the right time. At that time, he allocates duties to each and everybody. So who will become Kamsa? Who will become Duryodhan? Who will become Dhritarashtra? Who will become Yashoda Mata, Nanda Maharaj, Vasudev, Devaki, and all of this? All of these duties are distributed. Krishna tells Brahma to go and tell each and every Devata to take birth in the respective dynasties at the right time, and then the whole Leela will start. Okay. Brahma does one mistake at that time. He allocates duties to everybody. He does not take any duty for himself. Okay. And iska reason, iska impact jo hai na, then we will see when we discuss Krishna in the 7th chapter onwards later. Bhakti Yoga mein aage to baat karenge. So everybody gets the duties, everybody comes down, and at the right time when Krishna appears. Okay. So ye thoda iska background ho gaya.
So you mean to say all the devatas were assigned a role?
Yes.
In like a character in
Exactly.
Mahabharata.
Correct.
So then none of them were asuras. All were played by, like, I'm just trying to understand.
You are right. Very good point actually. So what happens is when you are assisting Krishna in his Leela, your original character is always supreme. Excellent character. That is the reason you are able to associate with Krishna. Krishna won't take us until we are not sufficiently pure. When we come down, like it's like Amitabh Bachchan, sometimes he plays a villainous role, sometimes he plays a hero's character. But Amitabh Bachchan is still different and these characters are different. So it starts with Maharaj Bharat. So ये Mahabharata जो है has come from the King Bharat. So there are two Bharats in our ancient history. One was the Dushyanta's son, okay, and one was the Maharaj Bharat of another Vishnu avatar called as Vyasa Dev. Yeah. Are you aware of the Jain religion? Jain religion में तीर्थंकर होते हैं, they believe महावीर and all that. इसमें Lord ऋषभ देव भी एक होते हैं. Heard of it? तो ऋषभ देव is Vishnu's avatar. So Jains are not different from Hindus. So ऋषभ देव के जो पुत्र है, he had 100 sons. The eldest one is Bharat. Okay. उनका भी कहानी हम लोग सुनेंगे. Fantastic. It is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Super pure devotee. उनके साथ को क्या होता है अगर देख लेंगे. So Bharat वो एक राजा था. People say that Bharat was named because of that Bharat, and there are certain stories which say Bharat was named because of the Dushyanta's Bharat. Okay? Irrespective of that, both are Bharat. So this Bharat Raja, he had 7 sons, and because he himself was a very dharmic person, he did not find good qualities in his sons, any of the sons, and he thought all of them are unfit to become kings. So one day when he was roaming around in his kingdom, he saw one boy who was abandoned and kept under one tree. And when he inquired over there, one of the Rishi Munis over there, he told him some story over there. And then he picked that son and he brought him and he taught the proper dharma and military warfare and everything he taught him. That son was named as Shantanu. So after Bharat Maharaj passed away, Shantanu took the kingdom, he became the king. One day while roaming around on the banks of Ganga, he saw Ganga Mata himself and he wanted to marry her. So she put certain conditions to him that I will marry, but you cannot question any of my action. If you do question, I will leave you.
Oh yeah, now I got to Shantanu.
Ah.
Shantanu is Bhishma's father.
Yes. So they marry. They have a first son. She puts her into water. Second son, third son. 7th son तक ये बंदा चुप होता है, कुछ बोलता नहीं, टॉलरेट कर रहा है. 8th son के टाइम पे he speaks. Why are you doing it? And then she says, fine, you spoke, I am leaving now. He is your son, you take care of him. Prior to that, she also guides him that please hand him over to Parshuram because he is the best teacher in the world right now. He will teach everything to the son. And he does that. So, forgot the name of Bhishma prior to
I think it was Devrat.
Yes, exactly. Very good, very good. So Devavrat, then he goes to Parshuram, he learns the military warfare, he learns all the Vidyas, 64 Vidyas, and he comes back. And things move on. Okay. After a certain time, when Devavrat is like ready to marry and all that, one day when Shantanu was roaming around in the kingdom, there was a beautiful smell coming from somewhere. He is attracted to the smell, he starts walking and then he realizes that there is a girl.
Shantanu or
Shantanu. So he sees a girl who is there in a boat and then he is attracted to that girl. He sits in the boat. That lady generally performs the duty of carrying people from one end of the river to the other end. And then he starts liking that girl and then he proposes. Then she says, you need to speak to my father. That lady's name was Satyavati. Okay? And Satyavati's father's name was Dashraj. So he spoke to Dashraj. So Dashraj told him that my daughter, astrologer, has foretold that her son will become the king. So I want a promise from you that you will not marry again. Even if you have married someone already and you already have a king, that boy should not become the king. And there is a chance that he may marry somebody. He may not become a king, but he may marry somebody and his son would want to become a king. So his son should also not become a king. So too many conditions, trying to shield any probability by which his daughter's son will not become the king. And he gives, he does not first give any kind of vow. And he is very sad. Looking at that, Devavrat is puzzled as to why my father is like sultan so much. And then he asks him and Shantanu tells him, this is the reason. Then he says, that's all right, I take a vow. And that is what is called as Bhishma Pratigna. Okay. So he takes a vow, I will not marry, I will not become the king, and I will protect this kingdom until my last moment, and I will not leave my body until the kingdom is protected. Being happy with that, Shantanu gives him a boon of Ichha Mrityu. You can die at your will, when you want. Then Shantanu marries Satyavati. From Satyavati, he gets two children, Chitrangad and Vichitravirya. Okay? Vichitravirya is the first one who passes away. Chitrangad. Okay. So Chitrangad is not so, I think in the war, right?
Yeah.
So he dies in the war, and Vichitravirya marries. Correct. So there are three daughters, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. I forgot the kingdom's name from where they come from, but Amba was already, meaning she wanted to marry someone else, and she doesn't tell. So Bhishma reaches to that kingdom, and he asks for the hands of all the three girls for Vichitravirya. And for some reason there is a kind of a dispute over there, and then Bhishma uses his powers and brings all three girls to Hastinapur. During that journey, Amba tells him that she is already in favor of someone else. And then he said, okay, you should have told this to me before. And Amba says, you didn't give us a moment, you captured all of us. Then he said, I will take you back over there. He said, now nobody will marry me. Now she says that you have to marry me. He said, I can't marry you because I have taken a vow never to marry anybody. So this becomes a deadlock situation. Ambika and Ambalika don't have any problem. Amba becomes unhappy with that, and she takes a vow that I will become the cause of your death. So this relates to Shikhandi. So all of these that I am talking about, each and every small or major event has some or the other correlation with the final war. So that becomes Shikhandi. Ambika and Ambalika, they marry. They marry Vichitravirya. But before any son could be born, Vichitravirya passes away.
Yeah.
Now that creates a situation for the kingdom. Prior to that, what had happened one day is Parashar Muni. Anybody knows Parashar Muni? Yeah?
That's his father.
Vyasa Dev's father. Okay, so Parashar Muni was you all know the palm,
Yeah.
yeah? The astrology aspect, the time. Do you know who wrote astrology?
His
Who is-
father.
Who's the primary author and the creator of astrology as a
I
science?
think is it Rasdev's father.
Yes. So Parashar Muni is the one who developed this whole science of astrology. And so Parashar Muni one day was he was also sailing through the boat which Satyavati was rowing. And basically that's all meaning constructed by Providence. So Parashar Muni realized that Satyavati is an ideal person to whom the Lord should be born. Okay, so Vyasa Dev is considered to be a type of an avatar of Vishnu himself, which is called as Amsha avatar. So Vyasa Dev was supposed to be born. So Parashar Muni told Satyavati that I am happy to give a son to you. She said, if you give that son to me, nobody will marry me. He said, do not worry, the son will be born to you by something called as Niyog Paddhati, okay, which does not involve any physical interaction. Then she also said that because she was, there is some story behind it wherein she and one more boy were born together from a fish, and the son was kept by another king and she was given to Dasharaj. So she said that my body smells of a fish and this is not good for the boy. He said, do not worry. And then he, by his yoga vidya, he gives a son to her and he also transforms the smell of her body. And that smell becomes so beautiful that is the same smell because of which Shantanu was attracted to her. And then that son is given, that son is Vedavyas. Now Vedavyas is also the son of Satyavati, similar to Vichitravirya and Chitrankara. Now there is certain scope in Shastra, certain rule in Shastra which allows a child to be given by a brother to a sister-in-law. Okay. And that also is done by Niyog Paddhati without any physical interaction. So when Satyavati realized that Vichitravirya has passed away without giving a son to the dynasty, then she invokes Vyasa Dev. So at that point of time, what Vyasa Dev was doing was he was undergoing a rigorous tapasya, remaining without food, water, any kind of bodily duties for days, weeks and months. And because of which his body had accumulated lot of dust, he had become kind of black, his hair had become long, matted, and meaning it was like a kind of a very kind of a difficult scene to look at him. Somebody can get scared of him. And Vyasa Dev had told Satyavati that any time you remember me, at that very moment I will appear in front of you. So when Satyavati remembers him, she is not aware that he is doing this Aghori Tapasya. And then he appears in that state. So Satyavati requests him to give two sons to him, or three sons for Amba as well. And
not Amba.
Amba had left by then.
Yeah.
Correct. So for Ambika and Ambalika. And he told Satyavati that if you can wait for just few days or weeks, I will finish my tapasya, I will come back into my natural state and then I should be able to do that. She said, no, the time is important, it's urgent, you need to do it now. Looking, and then he said, okay, as you wish. Looking at his bodily kind of state, Ambika, who is the second of Amba, Ambika and Ambalika, Ambika was very scared of him and she closes the eyes. Okay, and then Ambalika decides that she will not close, but she had become very pale and kind of the bodily luster had become yellow, because of which the physical condition of the son would have an impact. And then they also push their maid servant forward and he gives a son to her also. Now because that maid servant was completely normal, okay, and she did not close the eyes, she was not scared and all, okay, all of the sons, they bore the characteristics of the mother's behavior at that time. That's why Dhritarashtra was born blind, Pandu was not blind but he was weak physically, and Vidur was neither blind nor physically weak, but because she was very bold in front of Vyasa Dev, and that's why Vidur was born as a very intelligent son. Now it created problems. Now because Dhritarashtra was blind, okay, so okay fine. So now these three are born. Dhritarashtra was the eldest. So and then Pandu and then Vidura. So because of this one, they finished off their education, military warfare education and all that, and they come back and now it's a time for selecting the king. So Vidur, because he had amazing knowledge of Dharma Shastra, then Bhishma proposed Dhritarashtra's name. Vidur told him it's not appropriate because of Dhritarashtra's inability to see. And that created a big setback for Dhritarashtra because he was expecting himself to become a king. So then he said Pandu is the right person, and Pandu was selected as the king. Now Dhritarashtra's desire to become the king was not fulfilled. But this is a very important point, and that gets cascaded into Duryodhana later. So marriages happen for Gandhari is born to Gandhari marries Dhritarashtra, and the minor point to note over there is when Bhishma approaches the king of Gandhar, okay, the king of Gandhar and even Shakuni, who is the brother of Gandhari, they think that the hand of Gandhari is being asked for Pandu. But the moment he spoke the name of Dhritarashtra, they all are surprised, but they couldn't say no because the family is great. Because of which Shakuni becomes very angry. He does not display the anger, but he is very angry internally, and he takes a vow that you have destroyed the life of my sister, I will destroy the whole kingdom. Now all of these have some or other relationship with the war. So then Kunti is married to Pandu.
Gandhari also.
Then Gandhari took the vow of remaining blindfolded. Okay. Then one day, after Pandu became the king and marries Kunti, there are many kingdoms that Pandu wins. He goes on a lot of wars. And then one day he comes and Vidura and Dhritarashtra, both of them tell him that you better take rest now. You have done a lot of wars and all that. And he said, then who will take care of the king? So Vidura suggests that until the time you come back, Dhritarashtra can act as a representative of the king. Vidura is fantastic in choosing the perfect words. He never uses the word king for him. He says you are the pratinidhi of a king, representative of a king. And that keeps hitting Dhritarashtra from inside, which hurts him more and creates that desire more and more in him. So Dhritarashtra acts like the representative of the king. Pandu then goes in there. Pandu also had fought a battle with the king of the province called as Madra. And Madra province, the daughter of that king was called as Madri. Okay. So when he lost to Pandu, he proposed his daughter to be married to Pandu, and Pandu accepts her hand, and she is known as Madri. So along with Kunti and Madri, Pandu goes to a forest and he stays over there for some time. Okay. Certain events happen. One Rishi over there, he curses Pandu, and that curse disallows him from performing certain activities. And then because of that, a little bit of background there. Kunti Mata, Durvas Rishi, you might all know, right? Durvas Rishi had come to Kunti Mata before she got married to the king of this province called as Bhoj, the Bhoja dynasty. So Durvas Rishi, the king of Bhoj, entrusted the administration responsibilities to manage Durvas Rishi and serve Durvas Rishi completely to Kunti. So Kunti does that. She serves him very well, and Durvas Rishi is also pleased. And prior to leaving, Durvas Rishi says that I am giving you one mantra. You can invoke any demigod at any time, and with this mantra. So she is also happy, and she is a bit innocent. So she wants to find out whether that mantra works or not.
Like a curious person.
So she invokes sun god, and sun god comes and he says, I have come, what can I do for you? No, nothing do I want. I just wanted to see whether you actually come or not. So he said, yeah, I have actually come, but I cannot go empty handed. Now that you have called me, I have to give you something. Anybody knows what does he give him?
A son.
Son. Who is that?
Karna.
Karna. Yeah. So there is a story for Karna also, which we will talk about when we start the few verses of Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. So how Karna became Karna, that we will talk about. So she is afraid that who will marry me. So she saves Karna in a river. And properly, ऐसा नहीं कि उसको पानी में जैसे फेंक दिया, उसको proper basket में रख के pillows and all that रख के वगैरह. And वो then it reaches a person's hand, Adirath. Adirath then takes, because he himself is childless, that couple, so they take and they take care of him completely. That's a separate story. So Kunti Mata, because she has that mantra with her, she says to Pandu that we will invoke the demigods and we will ask a son from all of them, and we will have a son for our dynasty, heir for our dynasty. So first they invoke who? Yama, correct. Yamraj, who is also called as Dharmaraj. So they get a son named Yudhishthira. Then the second, whom do they invoke? Okay, who's the second son named? Bhima. Who's the father of Bhima? Hanuman is the father?
Pandu.
No.
Vayu. So Hanuman and Bhima are brothers. So father of Hanuman is Vayu, father of Bhima is also Vayu. Third son?
Arjuna from Indra.
From
Indra.
Indra. Correct. Fourth?
Nakula and Sahadev from the twin gods.
Yes, who are they? Excellent.
I forgot their name.
Ashwini Kumar. And that son is given to Madri, those sons.
Yeah.
Right? So all 5 sons are born this way. Certain activities still happen and Pandu loses his life. And then Madri goes on the funeral pyre along with this one. And then Kunti comes back into the kingdom.
Gandhari also over there.
Gandhari also gets a son, but Duryodhan, but the son is born a little later than Yudhishthira.
Like at the
How
same time as
many
Bhim.
sons does Gandhari have over
100.
there?
But a daughter one.
Yes. Correct. So there now the problem starts. So Dhritarashtra is enjoying the kingdom as a king, and now he has infused his desire to become the king in Duryodhana also. So now Duryodhana knows there is no competition. He is going to become the king. He behaves like a king and Dhritarashtra expects him to behave like a king. And now they see a competitor. Not only competitor, a proper successor, Yudhishthira. And that is where the problem starts. After they come in, then their education starts. That is where Dronacharya enters into the whole scene. Dronacharya is specifically selected because his administrative, military warfare and the dharma related knowledge is exceptional. So he teaches. Now when the Dhritarashtra realizes that Dronacharya is teaching, the children are learning so much and all that, but there is a good chance that my son is not going to become the king, Yudhishthira may become the king. So Dhritarashtra tries to create many impediments in that. One of the impediment is Karna's father Adirath was the charioteer of Dhritarashtra. So he decides that he wants to leave the service and take care of Radhe, who was the earlier name of Karna, fully. So he leaves the service and he wants a new charioteer now. That is where Sanjay enters into the scene. So Sanjay was examined, interviews and all that happened, and he is selected. So for such things also he keeps disturbing and calling Dronacharya from the education and consulting and all that stuff. All that happens. During the education times, Duryodhana, because he was born with a crooked mind, he tries many things at that time. So first he befriends Ashwatthama. Okay. Then he
Who is Ashwatthama?
Dronacharya's son.
yes. So then he knows, because he is the son of the teacher, it is always good to befriend.
Favoritism.
Yes, favoritism and all that. So he is a Kutil Niti person also. Okay. So all that happens. Then he one day even poisons Bhima.
What? Yeah, with the fruit.
No, with
the sweet.
Okay.
With the sweet.
There are various stories around it. The most popular is a kheer version. So Bhima likes to eat a lot. So he entices him. Duryodhana entices him, calls him for eating kheer. Kheer में poison डालता है, उसको खिलाता है, and then he rolls him down into the river.
And then the Nagas help him.
Yes. So when he goes into the bottom of the river, okay, there are certain serpents over there who capture him and bring him to the king of their serpents. The king of the serpents, then when he sees him, then he realizes that he is the son of Kunti. And Kunti, I don't know exactly how, but she and that king of the serpents are in some or the other way related to each other. So the king tells him, he is very happy to see him, and he asks him, kaise hua and all that. He tells him the story. And he says, okay, don't worry. To remove the poison, I will give you some drink. Obviously, being the king of serpents, they themselves are poisonous, so they have to have the knowledge of anti-poison. So उसको some drink he gives, and एक प्याला देता है उसको, तो वो पीता है पूरा, तो बोलते हैं कि मुझे और चाहिए, और चाहिए करके he drinks 17 such glasses or whatever that object will be. And the king of serpent told him, do you know what is this? How much strength it contains? He said, no, I don't know, but I like the taste. So he told him that every glass that you drink gave you a strength of 1,000 elephants. Okay, so that is when Bhima becomes exceptionally strong. Again, this has a relevance with war. Because of this strength, he was able to defeat people easily. बड़े हो जाते हैं बच्चे, and then they come back to Hastinapur. Now it's a time to select the king. At that time, Vidura, of course, he is intelligent and he also knows who is the right person. So Vidura purposely puts a test, and he says that whoever passes the test will become the king. So he brings 4 thieves in front of both of them, and he says कि ये चारों ने चोरी की है. What is the punishment you will give to them? So Duryodhana attempts first, बोलता है कि चारों ने चोरी की है, आप चारों को मृत्युदंड दे दो. हो गया. Mrityudand is a death punishment.
Death sentence.
So he says, so Yudhishthira says, no, you cannot give same punishment to everybody unless you know the background of their theft. He asks all of them, and based on that he decides different punishments for different people based on the background because of which they committed the mistake. And he gives a lot of justification. Based on that he is selected. Everybody is appreciative about his nature and the way he did the justice, and he is selected. Now अभी select हो गया है, तो दुर्योधन तो चुप नहीं बैठने वाला है. So then he does 2 things. First is he goes out to the kingdom, people of the kingdom, and he starts distributing the wealth of the king to everybody. तो ऐसे करते करते पूरा treasury वो खाली कर देता है. दूसरा चीज, he creates the Lakshadweep. So you might have heard this incident, right? The house of lakh. Okay. तो जानबूझ के एक ऐसा create करता है in a village called as Varnavat. And he purposely, Varnavat hosts a ceremony every year. So he himself tells the Dhritarashtra that being the crown prince, you should send him to this particular ceremony. Dhritarashtra likes the idea. He tells Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira says, yes, as you command. And then he creates the house completely of wax. Okay, so that it can be burnt. And वहाँ पे, along with Yudhishthira, all the Pandavas plus Kunti also goes over there, so that सारी की सारी 6 के 6 लोग can be burnt to death, so that this guy can become the king. तो ये इंसिडेंट जब चल रहा था, there were around 13-14 days that they stayed there, and it was decided, meaning Duryodhana had already decided that on the night of Amavasya, this activity should be carried out. So Vidur, understanding the mentality of Duryodhana, he senses that something is wrong, and he sends one person who helps him dig a complete tunnel from the Lakshagriha to outside the village. तो अभी ये होता है, and what happens is Vidur gives a signal to them that you exit a night before, and उधर जो there were 5 men, and they were brothers, and their mother was there, who were actually constructing the Lakshagriha. So they had completed their work a night before, and they were actually drinking lot of liquor over there. So they were waiting for the incident to happen, to actually burn on the next night. But what Vidur communicates to Yudhishthir is, while exiting, you burn the Lakshagriha and leave. Okay? तो ये करता है वैसे, and those 5 men and their mother, they get burned, they die. But Yudhishthir, Pandavas and Kunti, they escape. While looking at these 6 skeletons, Duryodhana realizes that all have died. These people now they go into some kind of अज्ञातवास. ये होता है, फिर बाद में during this event, the Bakasur and all that event happens. Draupadi Swayamvar event happens at this time. Draupadi Swayamvar में they were there, the Duryodhana is also there, Karna is also there, but they are unable to recognize the Pandavas. Arjun meaning brings Draupadi home, and that is where the fateful statement of Kunti comes into picture कि सारे भाई आपस में बांट लो, and that is where the new problem happens.
What does that mean?
That
Like,
means
all of us share it.
what meaning the manner in which Yudhishthir communicates to the mother about Draupadi is like, we have bought a gift for you or something like that. So she thinks that it could be some eatable or something like that.
Diksha.
Bhiksha, sorry, yeah. So she said, okay, you distribute among yourselves. And that is an improper practice. But because the mother has said, her word has to be obeyed. Okay? And that's when all the 5 brothers are married to her. Okay? And then the news spreads, and then Dhritarashtra also realizes, Vidur already knows that all these 5 brothers and Kunti are alive, and then Vidur tells Dhritarashtra, you should invite them back to kingdom. He sends the chariot, they come home, then again the problem happens, abhi Raja kaun banega. Okay? And that is then, there is no alternative, and Dhritarashtra and Vidur agree that the kingdom has to be divided in 2. Again Dhritarashtra plays his malicious intent, and he divides the kingdom in 2, gives the Hastinapur main kingdom to Duryodhana, and a completely dead, soiled kingdom or area to Yudhishthir, which is the name called Khandavaprastha. So with Krishna's help, Khandavaprastha was converted into Indraprastha. Okay, there is a small story of Mayadana. You know the demon named as Mayadana? No. Right? We will hear about that story when we go towards first few verses of Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. When Arjun, his bow is going to be described, then I will talk about it at that time. So Maidana constructs Indraprastha kingdom or the palace for them. That is when the Rajasuya Yajna happens. Okay, so during the Rajasuya Yajna, meaning Shishupal is killed at that time. Okay, and then Yudhishthir asks Duryodhana and others to stay with them for a few more days. That is when Duryodhana takes a tour around the palace. That is when he falls in that small pool kind of stuff. There is a misrepresentation in B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata that Draupadi says Andhe ka putra andha. Actually, she never said that. Okay, this misrepresentation has come out of somebody's mental concoction, but Draupadi never said that. Okay, and because Duryodhana realizes that Draupadi has seen him, he is internally very angry, and then he comes and decides to take a revenge. Okay, that is when he decides, with the help of Shakuni's great brain, they decide to invite Yudhishthir for a game of dice. That is when they come, then they lose, then he loses almost everything, kingdom, money, and even his brothers, Draupadi. And when Draupadi is lost, then Duryodhana and the wicked Karna. Many people think that Karna is a great person, good person, because he is a kind of charitable person and all that. Karna कितना नालायक आदमी था, तो हम लोग सीख लेंगे उसके बारे में. When you hear the background story of Karna, then you will realize what Karna was. So it was Karna's brain to call Draupadi a Vaishya. It was Karna's brain to call Draupadi even when she is not in that right physical state, to drag her by her hair and bring her into that assembly, that state. That was Karna's brain. To make her sit, or at least to speak, to make her sit on Duryodhana's lap was Karna's statement. That is that crooked, wicked nature of Karna. So Karna gives that advice, and then Duryodhana likes it, and then they drag Draupadi, then they try to disrobe her. That is when Krishna helps her. Okay? And when Dushasana is completely tired, then Draupadi gets her, and then she speaks. Her questions are philosophically so perfect, theory is so perfect, that not even Bhishma can answer her. And then when she is reached the pinnacle of her anger, she is about to curse Dhritarashtra. That is when Dhritarashtra gets scared and gives back all the kingdom and everything that Dhritarashtra lost back to Yudhishthira. And then then the game will stop. Again, Duryodhana is not the one who will keep silent. He again invites Yudhishthira for another game of dice with just one condition. If you lose, you go for 12 years of exile and 1 year of anonymous stay. And if Duryodhana loses, he will take the same stuff. Okay. Again, Shakuni plays his trick. He prepares the dice in such a manner that Duryodhana will win. Then Yudhishthira loses, they go for his 12 years of exile. During these 12 years, Yudhishthira does a kind of tapasya to repent for his action. Bhima, the incident between Bhima and Hanuman happened at that time. The Arjun also does tapasya. Arjun meaning prays to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is happy with him. He gives lot of astras and shastras to him. He prays to Indra, he goes to Swarga, he gets lot of astras and shastras and comes back. And which is the instruction given by Krishna himself, that prepare for war. Okay. And then everything is ready. And then the 1 year of anonymous exile comes in picture, and then they choose the kingdom of Virat. Virat king is over there, so to stay over there. So everybody disperses by different names, engage in different services. So Draupadi becomes a maid servant of the queen over there. And Draupadi is obviously very beautiful, and that queen's brother, whose name was Kichak, that Kichak, his eyes fall upon her, and in some or the other manner, he tries to basically engage with her. And then Draupadi, using sweet words, he fools her, and then she gives him a time to meet. And that is when she tells Arjun and Bhima also about it. So Arjun, because he was given the kind of okay, so it's a small incident happened when he goes to Swarga. What is the name of that Apsara? Urvashi. So Urvashi likes Arjun very much, and she is about to propose to Arjun. That is when Arjun folds his hand and says "Mate," and she is completely defeated. And then she curses Arjun that he will become a eunuch for 1 year, and that is when the pool is applied. Okay. So it doesn't matter. That's
What's
not
a
so
eunuch?
important. That doesn't matter. Not so important. So then Arjun teaches dance and music to Uttara. Okay. So Uttara is extremely important personality in this whole incident. And Arjun plays the drum so hard, okay, that the sound, avoids the cries of Kichak to go outside that room. So at one end, Bhima is mercilessly beating Kichak. At the other end, Arjun is beating the drum, and Kichak's sound cannot go outside the room. Kichak gets killed. The moment Kichak is killed, the news spreads. It reaches Hastinapur also. Duryodhan comes to know. Duryodhan realizes that there are only 5 people who are capable of defeating Kichak. Bhishma, Dronacharya, Duryodhan, Karna and Bhima. They said all 4 of us are here. Obviously Bhima is over there. So then they, with the full army, they go and raid Virata. Why? Because before the 1 year completes, if their identity can be exposed, then they again will have to take 12 years of exile and 1 year of anonymous exile. See the Kutniti of Duryodhan. Okay, so then they come, and Bruhannala, who is actually Arjun, single-handedly, he defeats each and every of the great warriors of the Kuru dynasty. Okay, and they are gone. So after that, 1 year is over. Duryodhan doesn't agree that the 1 year is over. That's why he says, no, you need to again go for exile. Okay. But Bhishma says, no, according to his calculations, 1 year is over. The agreement doesn't reach. And this is the reason why Dhritarashtra, under the influence of Duryodhan, is not ready to give back the kingdom to Yudhishthira. Okay. Now it has come to the point where war is now unavoidable.
Sorry. The kingdom actually, Yudhishthira was asking for Indraprastha. He was not asking for the
Hastinapur.
Hastinapur.
Yeah, correct. Very true. So he wasn't asking for his complete kingdom, just the Indraprastha. And because of this one, now because the war is certain, okay, so Krishna goes as a peace messenger to Hastinapur. Now अभी वो peace messenger के हिसाब से जाता है, तो obviously इसका प्रस्ताव तो रखना चाहिए, okay? But कृष्णा तो कृष्णा है, okay? तो कृष्णा he goes 1 day before, okay? तो दुर्योधन purposely trying to entice Krishna, वो सोच रहा है कि just another कोई ordinary person है, इसको झूठ मूठ का थोड़ा sweet talks दे देंगे, कृष्णा पागल बन जाएगा और हमारे पास आ जाएगा. So he tries to entice Krishna, but Krishna says no, I will not. He says he invites him to stay with Dushasan, because Dushasan's palace is even better than Duryodhana's palace. So he said आप दुशासन के साथ रहो, आप उसके महल में रहो. He said no, I will stay with Vidur. Now Vidur's palace is one of the most ordinary palaces compared to others, because Vidur is दासी पुत्र. तो बोलते हैं कि नहीं, मैं विदुर के साथ रहूँगा. That is when the Leela of Krishna eating the skin of banana happens. You all know that? No? So after refusing to eat with Duryodhan and stay with Dushasan, Krishna goes into the palace of Vidur. At that time, Vidur is outside somewhere, and only Vidurani is there. Vidur's wife is there. So she is so happy and so surprised by seeing Krishna that she doesn't realize what to do. वो कृष्णा को देखते रहती है, कभी किचन में जाती है, कभी बाहर आती है, समझ नहीं रहा उसको क्या करना है. तो कृष्णा को बैठने बोलती है. And then she goes inside, brings some bananas एंड कृष्णा को देखते देखते बनाना का वो स्किन पील ऑफ कर रही है, एंड कृष्णा खुद के हाथ में बनाना रखती है और कृष्णा को स्किन देती है, एंड कृष्णा भी उसके पास देख रहा है, स्माइल कर रहा है, एंड वो बनाना का स्किन खा रहा है। उसका आधे से ज़्यादा खाने के बाद विदुर आते हैं अंदर से और वो देखते हैं कि ये कृष्णा बनाना स्किन खा रहे, बनाना तो इसके हाथ में, वाइफ के हाथ में। तो अरे भाग्यवान, क्या कर रही हो तुम, ये क्या कर रही हो, उसको ये क्या खिला रही हो। तब ये होश में आती है, तब उसको लगता है कि अरे मैं क्या करूँ। तो कृष्णा से स्टॉप्स का विदुर से, नो, दिस इज द बेस्ट बनाना दैट आई हैव एवर ईटन, एंड दिस लिंक्स टू वर्स नंबर 26 ऑफ 9th chapter ऑफ भगवद गीता। पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहम भक्ति उपरतम अश्नामि प्रयतात्मना। आई ईट, I accept even a leaf or a fruit or a flower or water if you offer it with love and devotion. Okay? So आप कृष्णा को अगर 56 भोग का ऑफरिंग दोगे, हाँ, बट उसको बोलोगे प्यार नहीं रहेगा उसमें, तो कृष्णा will not eat. But if you give a half-eaten berry like shabri, still Krishna will. So material aspect से कभी कृष्णा को एंटाइज करने का दुर्योधन की तरह कभी कोई ट्राई नहीं करना। तो ये होता है इंसिडेंट। Then next day, the famous incident happens. Okay, 2-3 main things happen here which have a direct correlation with the war. So Krishna proposes कि according to the terms and conditions that 1 year of anonymous exile is done, you need to give back the kingdom. Duryodhan says नहीं, 1 year खत्म नहीं हुआ है. Bhishma also says that नहीं, 1 year खत्म हुआ है. But Duryodhan मानता नहीं. Dhritarashtra, he under the kind of guise of Duryodhan, he tries to fulfill his own desire. और बोलते हैं कि दुर्योधन हठी है, दुर्योधन मानता नहीं, मैं क्या करूँ, sort of. Okay. So दुर्योधन ना बोलता है तो धृतराष्ट्र भी चुप बैठता है। फिर बाद में then Krishna proposes कि fine, if you cannot give the whole kingdom, at least give 5 villages, and he names those 5 villages. तो दुर्योधन then he makes that famous dialogue कि सुई की नोक की भूमि इतनी जगह, इतनी भी भूमि दूंगा नहीं। Now you can imagine a scenario, you may not know who Krishna is, fine.
What is the dialogue?
That I wouldn't give that much soil or that much area, land, which is enough for even the point of the needle. Okay, so not even this much. ये hair tip कितना होता है ना अपना बड़ा, उतनी भी नहीं दूंगा. So that closes all the doors of negotiation. And हमें लगेगा कि कृष्णा को ये मालूम नहीं है, if he is God, does Krishna know what would Duryodhana's response be? वो तो मालूम होना चाहिए ना. यानी आप और मेरे जैसे को भी शायद पता चले कि दुर्योधन इन्हीं में देने वाला नहीं है, तो क्यों जाना इतना पीस. But Krishna doesn't go as a peace messenger for asking this. He knows what Duryodhana's response is. He goes over there for a very different reason, to ensure and for everybody to know that the war was initiated, or at least ensured that the war has to happen, and Duryodhan is responsible for that. To ensure that this gets recorded in history, Krishna goes there, so that Pandavas will not get the blame of inciting the war. ये तो हो गया. फिर the great Duryodhan tries to arrest Krishna, and that time he displaces Virat Roop over there. Now Virat Roop is technically different from the Vishwaroop that is displayed in the 11th chapter. Okay. So वो होता है, Krishna comes back, war की preparations होती है, there are certain events that happen before the war and all that stuff, and then everybody comes on to Kurukshetra. Few events do happen. Okay. Elaborate description नहीं कर पाएंगे, but Duryodhan tries to दुर्योधन एक बार सहदेव जो है, सहदेव इज एक्सलेंट इन एस्ट्रोलॉजी, तो दुर्योधन कम्स टू सहदेव asking him what is the right time and day that the war should start so that I can win. So all of these Pandavas, they are righteous people. They will not look at whether it is beneficial for me to give or not give the answer, but they will still speak the truth. Sahadev tells him exactly this is the date and time you should start the war, and Duryodhana is very happy and he proposes that. So Krishna क्या करता है? Krishna calendar modify करता है. Okay? Krishna on that morning he sits and does certain puja and he invokes certain demigods for that. And people are परेशान कि क्या बैठा है कृष्णा, क्या कर रहा है, इन सब देवताओं को बुलाया है ना. तो पूजा जब हो जाती है, सारे देवता आते हैं, सब हाथ जोड़ के कृष्णा के सामने खड़े हैं एंड दे आर आस्किंग हिम, कृष्णा हाउ कैन वी सर्व यू, व्हाट कैन वी डू फॉर यू. एट दैट टाइम ऑल द ग्रेट पीपल of Kuru and Pandavas are still standing over there. And then Krishna asks, what does it mean by so and so Devata and along with so and so Devata, along with so and so Devata being present at the same time? What does it mean? He said that means today is so and so day. So he said if today is so and so day, that means so and so the previous day is already elapsed. He said yes, it's gone now. Okay. So that day which Sahadev had told him that on this day if you start the war at so and so time you will win, that day had already passed. And next day had already started. And then he said today the war can start. And then it starts. Now where I will stop speaking today is after the armies have come in front of each other. That is when Arjun expresses his desire to see both the armies and the generals who have come to fight on behalf of these armies, and he wants to take a final look at them. Okay, why? Because he realizes that this war will ensure that majority of the people are killed. You may not be able to see each other again. He wants to look at all of them for the last time, and he expresses his desire to Krishna. I want to see all of them. And then Krishna drives the chariot, brings it purposely in front of Bhishma and Drona. That is where Arjun realizes that I am going to kill these great personalities. And that is when he is overwhelmed by grief and sorrow. And then he asks, then he puts forward 5 reasons of not fighting. That comes in the first chapter and second chapter. And that is when Krishna, the superhero, starts speaking Bhagavad Gita. So this is all about the events that started from Shantanu till Bhagavad Gita. There are quite a few events that happened during these 18 days. There are quite a few events that happened post-war also. There are quite a few events that happen once Yudhishthir becomes the king. And there are quite a few events that happen after Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas decide to leave the planet. Okay. So we will cover all of these gradually. So we have reached around 5 o'clock now. I was initially intending to speak a kind of an overview of Bhagavad Gita. I'm not sure how tired you are and how bored you are. So either now or next time we can speak.
In between few questions, okay, because some characters we were not able to speak all the characters, so but the characters are important in the battlefield. Okay, so we will not speak about those. I will just ask questions. Maybe you all know. Okay, so one important character in Mahabharata was Abhimanyu.
Yeah.
Who was he?
Son of
Son of
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
And how? Means son of Arjuna means mother.
No, not Draupadi. Draupadi was somebody.
No. What is the name?
No.
It was something with I, right?
No. Who said? Who said? Yeah. And who is Subhadra?
Krishna's
Krishna's
sister.
Krishna's sister. Yeah. So one of the important characters is Abhimanyu. And also when the first time after the Laksha Grahams, after the House of Wax happened, when all the Pandavas with Kunti Mata were going through the forest, there was someone who had come to kill the Pandavas. Sorry? Ghatotkacha didn't come, but Ghatotkacha is actually the brother of it's the brother of Hidimba who had come to kill.
No, not brother.
No, to kill Pandavas. The son.
Ghatotkacha is the brother of.
No, Ghatotkacha is the son of
Hardimba.
Yeah, she is saying Hidimba's brother came to kill.
Yeah.
She was
Hidimba's brother came to kill Pandavas. Yeah. And so at that time, Hidimba wanted to marry Bhima, and they got married and they got a son. Again, he is very important in the battlefield.
That was Ghatotkacha.
Yes.
And there is a Barbaric also.
Barbaric.
That's the grandson.
Grandson of.
Even as putting means Duryodhan, he has a very political mind. He used to see how he can win any battle. So yes, he did many tricks he did. So at the time of war, he was trying to gain this country to come to my side to fight against that. The same way what do you say for Mama?
The
Maternal uncle.
Maternal uncle of means actually Madri's side.
Madri's brother.
Yeah. So he induced him, and he was going to go into Pandavas team, but because of some favors done by Duryodhan, which he liked it, and then said, I have taken the favor, now I cannot go in Pandavas side. So he fought with the side of Kauravas. So many things happened, how Kauravas team became so huge and Pandavas were not so huge, but still Pandavas they could win the war, and how that was. And Krishna was also the king, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't he
King of
fight?
Dwarka.
Why didn't he fight then?
To help Arjuna.
To help Arjuna, but
How did it help?
how did he help?
By not fighting.
By being a charioteer. Charioteer.
Become a charioteer of
Arjuna.
But he is a king, right? He had a lot of army. What did the army do then?
Well, the army was on
Kauravas side.
Yes, and how?
because
He wanted to support both teams.
No.
because there had been
No, he never wanted
there
to become.
have,
What a story?
help
Sorry. I was hearing both of you.
Okay, no, I know the story.
I think so. Krishna asked Yudhishthira and
Arjuna and
Duryodhana.
Duryodhana.
And Duryodhana chose the army, and Arjuna chose.
Right. Yeah. And who is Balram?
Krishna's brother.
Krishna. Did he fight in the battle?
No, but he helped Duryodhana and Bhim by teaching them mace skills.
Yeah, that was very, very. He didn't know that the war was going to happen. So he was a guru. Yes, he became a guru for Duryodhana. And at that time, actually, Balram wanted Subhadra to become the wife of Duryodhana, but that didn't happen. Arjuna became
He goes for the pilgrimage, right?
He doesn't fight. He doesn't take any part because he says that they all are my brothers. I have taught them and everything. So he doesn't fight. He goes for the pilgrimage. So that was there. Did Vidura fight?
No.
No.
Why? Because he is also in Kauravas team.
But he was smart and he knew what to do.
Yeah, he was.
She didn't want to get it.
Maybe he thought finally everything will come to
No, did he become king? At any point did Vidura become a king?
No, he thought like that, it's a war, everything will be finished.
Vidura never wanted to become a king. That was the first main thing. Vidura never wanted to become a king. And Vidura actually got insulted by Duryodhana before the war. And because of it, he thought that that's the end. I can't serve more them because they're not listening to my advice, which is good for their welfare. But if they don't want to listen, he just left, and he also went for pilgrimage. So he also didn't fight.
The best thing to do.
But actually, okay, we'll see. He will explain you more. That if you know something and if you don't want to fight, I will never say that Vidura was in that way, because Vidura knew what is going to happen and what is right.
Anybody knows who Vidura is?
Vidur was
the son of the maid of
the main
But main, who is he? Means like in previous life or
in the
something like
previous
that.
life, who was Vidur?
I don't know.
no.
No. So there was a rishi named as Manduka, and this rishi, when he finished his life, he was taken to hell. Yamadutas came for him, not Vishnudutas. He was firstly very surprised. Why am I going to hell? The hell. I have not done any sin, and I have been a rishi throughout my life. So he comes to Yamaraj, and then Yamaraj tells him that when you were at the age of 12, you enjoyed piercing the straws of grass into the eyes of insects, and you used to give a lot of trouble to them, and you used to enjoy that. So that's why he orders certain punishment to him within hell. So because Manduka Rishi was a very knowledgeable person, he says that despite being Yamaraj and despite being thorough in the Shastras, Dharma Shastra, you have made an incorrect judgment, and that deserves you to get punishment. So he says that every child who is below a certain age, his sins are ignored. But you did not ignore my sins. You gave me a punishment. So I will anyway suffer because of the punishment, but I am giving you a curse. That curse will be that he will have to take 3 lives on earth. So one life was, he got the life of Valmiki, not the same Valmiki who wrote Ramayana. This is the Valmiki who was a different Valmiki, who was a kind of a very sinful person. So another life was, you will have to be born as a son of a maid servant. And another was a king who will be responsible for the sins as well as pious activities committed by the whole kingdom. That is when he is born as Valmiki, Vidur, the son of maid servant, and Yudhishthira also. So that is Yamaraj.
What is the age below that they sing sins Very important question.
Passing marks.
I think the judgment days are over.
I purposefully avoided speaking about but what happens is, any and every of these parameters, they differ based on the period, the circumstance. Okay? So what was applicable at that time may not necessarily be applicable at this time. Every time, every era, every circumstance is different.
No, but even if there is also, ifs and buts for every rules. Everybody accepts that, right? It's something that if you know that you are doing a sin but you still want to do it, that is considered to be a sin at that age also.
It is the intention behind the action.
Yes.
It's not the action.
Yeah. So it's not that till this age I can do anything. It is not in that way.
You have an inner moral conscience, so that should guide you.
And actually, what she said makes a lot of sense for one more aspect. So, have you heard of this saying? People generally say that जो भी पाप करना है करो, गंगा में नहा के आओ, पाप धुल जाएंगे, right? We've seen that, right? Especially when Kumbh Mela and all happens, people rush to Kumbh Mela. So people rush to Kumbh Mela because of this approach that जितने भी पाप किए धुल जाएंगे. It doesn't work that way. Okay, Prabhupada is the founder of ISKCON. So he mentioned in one of the lectures that even if you assume that Ganga does wash away your sins, okay, what happens to the mentality because of which you committed the sin? That will not get washed away by Ganga. Right? So you had a mentality where you enjoyed committing sins. That mentality will still remain with you and you will continue to commit sins even after taking a bath in Ganga. So taking a bath in Ganga will help you maybe to a certain extent, but it will not save you from that mentality, and for that you need to perform certain activities. And if you take bath in Ganga in the morning, during the noon time and evening time, all 3 times daily for years and years, then actually your sins will get washed away by Ganga. But the mentality will still not get washed away. So that thought process of Ganga nahao paap dhul jate hain, that thought process is incorrect because Shastra also doesn't support it. So with that same thought in mind, if you answer this, that when I know that up till a certain age, the sins are not considered as, the actions are not considered as sins for children, then that is not applicable because it is with a mentality of awareness that you are committing the sin. So that will not get, will not be considered as, will not be ignored. Hare Krishna.
What was the name of Sri Krishna's army? You know that?
I don't remember.
Give 4 options.
Narayan is here.
What?
Narayan is here.
Oh.
And you said that, like I know that there are 10 avatars, and Krishna is also one of them, and those are Vishnu avatars. But you said that Krishna is, so this will come later somewhere.
Yeah, we will speak about this. There are certain topics which I generally don't go much into detail, depending on the stage that we are in. And this is one of those topics. So far the society has been teaching us that Krishna is the avatar of Vishnu. This is what we learn from various quarters. But technically, is that correct or not?
No.
Okay. So we will see the technical aspect behind it. So the complete philosophy of creation of the material world, when we try to learn that, then we will learn. We only know Vishnu. If I ask somebody which Vishnu, then they get confused. Correct? Is there more than one Vishnu?
Huh?
Yeah.
There is, yes. There are 3 Vishnus. Anybody knows?
One was Shirodakshar Vishnu,
Yes.
then I forgot the other 2.
Anybody knows any other Vishnu's name?
Paramatma. Paramatma.
Paramatma is not exactly Vishnu. Technically, you can say it is Shirodakshaya Vishnu who resides in your heart. But the 3 Vishnus, the first is Karanadakshaya Vishnu. Did you hear this before? Did you hear the word?
I heard
From
it.
you,
I heard it, but I forgot.
Okay. So did you hear Mahavishnu before? Mahavishnu. Yes.
Oh yeah,
So Mahavishnu is the same as Karanadakshaya Vishnu. Then there is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Okay? And then there is Shirodakshaya Vishnu. There are these 3 Vishnus. So people do not know much about Vishnu or the different Vishnus. People do not directly understand the relationship between Krishna and Vishnu. They think that Vishnu ne avatar liya, Krishna aa gaya. If so were the case, then Garga Samhita should be considered as incorrect. Because even before Krishna appeared, Krishna was there in Goloka Vrindavan. Right? So Shirodakshaya went to invite Krishna to come down. So how is it possible? Krishna existed even before he came as avatar, Vishnu's avatar. So there are technical quite a few differences in terms of qualities. Brahma Samhita and Bhagavatam and Vishnu Puran, Skanda Puran, Brahma Vaivarta Puran, they teach us that Vishnu possesses 60 out of 64 qualities. Krishna possesses all 64. What are those 4 qualities? We will look at later. But for us, Vishnu and Krishna at this particular stage, it is completely fine to consider them as same. Completely. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
thank you very much, and we'll do one thing in the next class, whenever it is scheduled. We will look at the overview of Bhagavad Gita and we'll look at the first chapter.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Any comments, any suggestions, any feedback to think we can do it in a different manner, better manner? Is the interactive nature is okay, not okay? What can we do better?
Sorry, you wanted to ask question.
No, I forgot the question.
Memory is less incoming.
Memory is less.
career
अभी बोल सकते हैं memory loss हो गया भाई.
So do let me know if you have any feedback, suggestion.
It was very nicely narrated.
Yeah.
We like the interactive session.
Okay.
It's really nice.
Nicely explain the storytelling manner
Yeah.
for the kids and ourselves to understand and refresh our
Refresh
some of the
our
knowledge what we have
Yeah.
forgotten possibly, you know, some of the names in the Mahabharata. Yeah, so
Okay,
many.
forgot, I was just thinking.
So just to manage your expectation, the stories will be there until the 10th verse of second chapter.
Yeah.
बाद में philosophy चालू होगी.
Yeah, I know.
I will try and avoid the heaviness of the philosophy. I try to make it as simple as possible. But there will be some parts which
Yeah,
will
that would be my
difficult.
suggestion to make it more simpler
Yes,
to do.
yes.
As you said, we are in Kali Yuga, our brains are not that much grasping it, you know.
No, but
It's
I have
not
seen
grasping,
him.
basically.
He will put examples. As we need
Yeah,
examples,
true, true.
he will surely put examples for
And-
us to understand.
And if at all, if you find it is going a little bit above the
Above, yeah.
understanding aspect, do let me know. We will,
Yeah,
we will
sure.
try and make it
Sure.
simple, or we'll stop it. And we'll speak about this when we talk about the overview of Bhagavad Gita. But first chapter is very simple to understand. Okay. Second chapter, even I would say until the verse number 53, it's simple to understand. 54 से अर्जुन एक सवाल पूछता है 54th verse में, and then heaviness of the philosophy starts. Okay. Third chapter is relatively simple to understand. जैसे जैसे 4th, 5th, 6th chapter आ जाएंगे, I am sure the mobiles will open up, you will start snoring, you will try and pick up one corner of the room. But what we will do is, we will not go into the deeper aspect of philosophy. And he knows, by Saturday I conduct another class for Marathi Bhagavad Gita. So that time I try and explain one verse per class. Every class goes for 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes. तो as much deep possible मैं जाता हूँ. Okay. But यहाँ पे नहीं जाऊँगा because the objective is only to overview of Bhagavad Gita. एक class एक chapter ऐसा target होके नहीं आएगा. कभी कभी टाइम कम पड़ेगा तो we will take the verses next time. कभी कभी टाइम ज़्यादा available रहेगा, we will take the next verses of the other chapter also. ऐसा करेंगे. But we will make it very light. Okay. And whenever if time permits, we will come back again and then फिर थोड़ा deeper aspect हम लोग देखेंगे. Please do invite your friends also, let them also benefit from this one, and the more the better for us.